Wow. Good morning. My head's gonna pop off with all the things going on last night. I got so many emails. I don't know where to start today. I'm gonna probably have to do more than one video. So let's start with my remote viewing session. I posted a short yesterday on my first remote viewing session with Nancy Guthrie on this case, and I was only giving you small details because of the short distance, the time you have to put a short up. It's 3 minutes max. So I want to go through that with the floor plan that Ashley Banfield went through with you. And then John Chapritro was live showing helicopters, police, on scene. But he walked the back where I think I said it long before Ashley Banfield, love Ashley, that I felt like they came in through the back. Now she's saying that they left the door open, that Nancy always left her doors open, and I really feel like there might have been a back door open, but I really feel like they came through over the fence in the slider into her bedroom. So we're gonna go through the floor plan. I wanna show you what John DePietro did, and I wanna also update on the Sheriff Nanos. I did a video yesterday as well on, so it might be a long video today. I did a video as well on yesterday's meeting at the town hall with the, board, the I don't know what they call them, council here in Canada, we call them, who run the administration, who run Pima County. And I had said, let's see what they do. So if you missed that and you want to see just the testimonies and the clips of some people and what they had to say, that video I posted yesterday. But it turns out that the council, according to Brian Anton's reporting, are going to ask Sheriff Nanos to answer some questions about whether he lied on his resume, etc. So lots to cover today, but let's start with remote viewing for those that are interested in what that is. I'm actually pretty excited because I used to practice it quite a lot, much more often. I mean, I still use it, um, but I get all kinds of things like I get all the clairs. I get all the I get the visions in my dreams. I'm medium, so it's interesting to me in working these cases how Sebastian came in very differently than what I was getting. Jack and Lily was just visions in my dreams, and another child, coming in for them. Sebastian directly talking to me, mediumship, like pain in my head, like it was wild, like quite a bit actually with Sebastian. And then with Nancy, um, I'm using more of my energy with my hands and locations and, remote viewing, and so, I'm just getting my claircognizance, like my knowing that things it's always different, because I have a lot of modalities that I've just been born with. So, but remote viewing is something that you wanna train in and you wanna practice a little bit, well, all of it, truthfully. And because of what I've been through here in the last few years with my dad and his defrauding and it being my mom and my sister, which affected and knocked the whole family over, I was under so much stress. I can't look at the story of what happened to me. I'm going to write about someday because it literally is book worthy. I've been told. It's really like a crime thriller. How it, I had no idea and then what was going on, and then to find it by, accident, it was just anyway. Um, so I was so much stressed out in that period, in those several years, that I was using tarot because I found I wasn't able to trust what I was getting because the brain, when you're stressed out and going through PTSD, complex PTSD, and I had been diagnosed with hypertension level 2 and everything else. So I was not sure that I was getting the readings that I was comfortable with, that I could say were accurate enough. So that's why I had stopped practicing the remote viewing. And then when we were at the Find Me group meeting on Sunday, their annual budget meeting and conversations about the group and suggestions and everything else, I had asked Kelly before because I love the collaboration and working with other psychics. Now it's difficult because you've got to make sure you're not front loading information that other people are like, "Oh, I see that too," right? So it's a skill in itself, on how to handle it. But we have some incredible remote viewers in the group. I've talked to you about the Monroe Institute. Just look it up. One of them was trained in the Monroe Institute. I'm not sure how many of us are going to join the group, but I'm going to be joining with the guy who does remote viewing on with a whole team of people on his own. And so I'm looking forward to working as a group in remote viewing. And Zach, if you're watching, I've been thinking about you a lot on the last few days. So it's going to be interesting. So for some cases, we're going to work as a group remote viewing. So I'm really looking forward to practicing and brushing up on my skills. And if you don't know what remote viewing is, remote viewing is using a meditative state to get into an altered state in your brain. And then this can be proven scientifically, by the way. I'm just not able to share how it works and explain it yet in a level that makes it conducive. But my daughter is a nurse and didn't believe in any of this woo-woo stuff, my oldest daughter, and my younger daughter always has. She's Pisces. My oldest daughter, Cancer, is becoming a believer, truthfully, following podcasts because there's so much scientifics in tapping into other consciousness and whatnot. Now there's so much science backing up, the brain and the consciousness and timelines overlapping each other. And so anyways, so let's get into my remote viewing. So you get into a meditative state and you set your intention. And I'm going to pull up now Ashley's video here so I can explain to you a little bit more. So let me get that. Okay. So this is Ashley Banfield's reporting with Gray Hughes. I think it was March 23rd. Today is March 25th, by the way. I forgot to mention. I think I forgot to mention 8:43 a.m. So she went through it with Gray, and it was super helpful for me to get the inside pictures, which I'll show you. But I had already said, like, I got a vision, just a flash. I don't even remember when it happened. Like, I just got this flash vision, and I could see a window, like a sliding door, and I didn't have the layout like this, but I could see somebody coming in from behind Nancy, and I could see a sliding door there. And then when I did the remote viewing, so let me just explain to you how I was getting it. And again, I'm going to do another remote viewing on this because I'm just getting back into remote viewing. I want to make sure that I'm getting the right, you know, senses and visions and feelings and information from my sessions. So anyway, so here's the garage. So the laneway is at the very top of the page here. And this is the front door at the top of the page. So when I tapped in, my intention was to specifically see what happened after she was dropped off with Tommaso. Okay, my head is spinning right now. And then, oh my God. And then I want to show you another video I forgot to mention. I might have to do 2 today because we'll see how it goes here. Or 3 videos to get everything out that I want to talk about. And yes, by the way, I'm going to do another video on the general and the other woman that's missing. I forget her name right now. Because I was up late last night with my head going crazy over all these thoughts over all the news that came out yesterday and sending myself emails. And anyways, let's get at it. So the front door is here. And this is the terrace with the wall around it at the front of the house. And Nancy's bedroom is here. So Nancy's room is here. So it looks like there's probably this back kind of way here, this little, if I fill in this line down here, I hope you can see my cursor, from the top right corner straight down and align it with the back wall of this porch. That's probably like the bedroom areas. Seems kind of small, but the porch looking at the size of the porch on the top where you can see the wall and the chairs, and I'll show you the pictures in a second here, where you can see the porch where Nancy would sit. There's the fireplace. You can see the front fireplace in the front of the house. There's 2 fireplaces in the house, but this one is in the front of the house, and so there's, like, a living room, there's the front entrance, there's another room here, and, of course, we don't have the inside walls, but, um so coming in, my flash, I didn't know where her room was exactly. I suspected this was her room, because we had heard that she would go out from her room and sit on the patio, and then you can see onto this porch sliding doors here and sliding doors here, which again, the size is 11.5 by 16.9. So when you say these are bedrooms, it's like, whoa, it seems kind of like tiny on the map. But if you go down and duplicate the size of that porch, 11.5 by 16.9, you kind of come down here. You got a hallway or whatever, and then you get 2 bedrooms here and here, right? So you got Nancy's room up and under here, you got 2 rooms down here is what I'm guessing, okay? So now you've got this square, and this is all kitchen, living room, dining room, family room in here. I don't know what this little alcove is, but laundry, I would guess, whatever. Because it's right off the garage. Mud room, storage, laundry, powder room, maybe, just guessing. So my vision was her, and I could see a sliding door when here in the back of my first initial. So now after seeing the map and knowing the inside visions I'm going to show you, I I'll get her house up in a second. I asked with the intention of seeing her coming out of the car. So let me describe to you what I felt. I felt the vision was almost like scattered, like dissipated, like, got goosebumps. It's always my validation. Tommaso only in the car, not Annie. And by the way, I saw 3 people inside waiting for her. And this is confusing to me because I had said that I thought the person in the mask was Tomato until I saw the wrist. Now, people are wondering, is that truly a tattoo? I don't know. And I'm going to show you another video that somebody else did and really, really does make me go back to my first theory of potentially there. But the timeline now doesn't make sense. So now I'm trying to rework who was inside, I believe, were the people, the hired people. Because when he dropped her off, though, I could see this dissipating of air, almost like she was moving into like, does her spirit was like dissolving. And I kind of felt pressure between them, if you will, for lack of a better word, an aloofness, a coolness, like, bye, Tommaso, bye, And I see her walking through the garage, which I don't think 2 minutes is because they could have been talking for a second in the car, although I didn't see that. And then the minute she goes inside, I don't see anything. I see her coming through the garage door, and as we see in Ashley's video, which I'll show you, this is the door from the garage into presumably the kitchen. And I see her going around straight and going into around a corner and turning a light on. I literally jumped up because, and it's interesting because my very first hit, so imagine you're Nancy and it's dark somewhat in your house. I see her walking into a room and turning a lamp on. Now, I think it's her bedroom, but it could have been this room here because I could see the sliding doors in the back. And so the sliding doors would be if it was this room behind her here, and if it's in her bedroom, the sliding door would be this one on this side. But holy sugar, I jumped, and it's so interesting because it matches my very first instinct when I saw the video of the perp. Um, and that was that the whole mask was intended to not only conceal identity, but that particular mask to really scare the crap out of Nancy, and boy, did I feel her jump, and I jumped off. I was laying on my couch, and I literally jumped, like, my body was like, "Whoa," startled when I saw her turn the friggin' lamp on, and boom, there's, like I can't even it's like was like a picture out of a movie. I've got full on goosebumps thinking about it right now. It was like a picture out of a movie. And I see 3 people standing there, but when she turns the light on, there's 2 people behind her in the pitch black, and she's straight ahead, sees this white mask in, like, just sees this figure because it's not fully illuminated, it's a lamp in the room. And I literally feel her scared to death and jump back, and then somebody comes up from behind her. Now, I don't believe she was injured to the point of blood at that point, okay? And after listening to Ashley's second video, well, she does one every day, but her video last night, this is 2 nights ago. Last night, I'm still really curious on whether there was intended blood to make it look like something it wasn't. I'm not sure yet. That's a very I said that kinda off the cuff, and I'm not 100% really tapped in or dialed into that yet, but I am now curious after listening to the blood specialist on Ashley's podcast rather yesterday, talking about the blood marks. So that's a whole other video. Like I said, my head is popping now with things that I wanna discuss on this case because this has opened up something for me. How did they get in? I think now Ashley reports that she never left her doors locked. I think they jumped in over this wall and that her slider was left open. That's just my theory. But I also remember seeing when JLR was out there and doing the lives and Brian was out there reporting. Can't remember who posted the video, but you could see when the FBI went back, remember they put the tent up at the front door? They also did a day where they were doing, like, back in the yard, and they were really taking prints and plants because this is, like, the overhanging vine over the wall, and they were taking samples from all that, and I really think they climbed the wall. That's just my intuitive hit. But man, the fear that came out from her, I mean, it was a terrifying moment. It was like right out of a movie. And that's been my theme, if you will, that this just seems like a movie, this whole thing. And I really got this sense that there was a true intention to scare the F out of her and to get to a point where Savannah would really know, like, this is terrifying. Like, to also brutalize Savannah in some way because there is some sort of a revenge I'm sensing a revenge element to this and frustration. So let's move and I'll show you the video of, um, a little bit of what, the doors are and the house, inside pictures, from Ashley's video. And then I'll show you another video I found, um, about the comparison to the walk down versus tomato. So let's keep, that's just opinions. They look awfully similar, but he did really incredible work. So you want to not move from this because this will blow your mind. Okay, let's first move to Ashley, then I'll move to that, and then we'll see where we're at. John DePietro doing the back, and the results from yesterday. Okay, I love when spirit helps because I just moved the cursor and boom, there it was. So this is the door. Now, we don't know how old these pictures are that Ashley showed, but this is the garage door here. And it's presumably in the center almost of the garage back wall. You drive your car in and there's a door and you can see it. And Ashley and Gray Hughes show the door from inside the garage if you want to go check out that full episode. So I get the vision of her walking in here and going down here into this room. And I thought she turned right. But her bedroom is over here. So that's where I'm a little bit confused. But I do see, again, it's like snippets where you're getting like visions. So we do see her coming in here, and then I do see her turning. It's like a tall lamp, like a floor lamp almost. I got goosebumps. Thank you for the validation. It's like a tall floor lamp. She turns that on, and oh my God. So, okay, I want to tap into this. And just as I'm talking, I get an email that with the Find Me group that we're going to work on some remote viewing together, and we're going to do the Nancy Guthrie case together as a group. He just sent me an email as I'm doing this right now. So that's really interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. And I did also learn that I was the only one from the Find Me group that put the report into the FBI. And I had thought it had gone in a few months ago, but it really just went in Monday morning from Kelly. So whether or not they're going to look at it, take it seriously, I have no idea. And the other thing I noticed, like I said, my brain is going bazonkos right now. I do want to tap back into the Oracle address that I gave them because I don't think they're there anymore. And it's interesting because I got the sense that the house was empty and that they had invaded it, much like the vacant home that I got energy on yesterday, where John DePietro was. So let's show you that, but I'll show you the theory that someone else did first. So again, this is going to be a long video. Stick with me. You don't want to miss this next part. I've got like 4 or 5 segments, and if it gets too long, I'll just cut it off and do a separate video here. But I've got to really tap in and see what's going on with that address because it's different. The energy has shifted on where she was being held. Now, I haven't tapped into it more than, say, 5 or 6 times since doing my initial report a few weeks ago, but it's shifted, and I don't know what that is. If they broke in, if they were staying somewhere, I don't really know if that's where they were staying until they could escape somewhere to keep the heat off them. I don't really know. I have to tap into that energy. I still believe that address is significant. It's just, are they still at it is the question, because the energy was not as pronounced. Now, whether that means Nancy had passed there, I'm not sure. Okay, let's get into this incredible, a wild video that somebody else did on the figure and comparing the figure at the door, the masked man to Tomato. Watch this. Okay, so do you remember when I did a video of the walk down and then I said, wow, like for me, I don't understand and now I really don't understand the tattoo because the energy is of Tomato. And then I said, hey, I had also ruled him out, not just because of the tattoo, but because I thought he was taller than 5'9", 5'10". But then we saw that video, and I did a whole video on when you could compare his height to Savannah's wearing her heels. And then when he was bending over, how it seemed like a familiar energy to the porch guy when he's bending over. Well, watch this. Holy smokes. Watch this.
So like I was saying before, it feels like in terms of the investigation, this is the phase that is, boring. I check the news every single day. I'm sifting and sifting. And personally, for me, there's absolutely nothing intriguing at the moment. I mean, there's the stuff about JLR and he might be in some hot water. I'm going to hope that none of this is true, but that's not the brand of news, the content that we do here. Inspiration can come from the unlikeliest of places. And it did for me. Now, most of you know that I am not running a witch hunt here, right? Our topics expand where the most compelling news takes us. We're not pointing, for the sake of pointing. Something has to make us look. Now, with that out of the way, allow me to point out something peculiar that stemmed from a very unlikely place. So if we were to go back and to sift through the comments of our past videos, we would come across a comment that pretty much tells me to stop trying to pin it on Tommaso or his bandmates, stop using their old pictures to try to overlay, on the perp or something to that effect. It was not a positive comment, to say the least, okay? And one that had no merit, at least to me, because the only early Black band member that we ever took an interest in is Tommaso. Dominique Evans, okay? His eyes never really did it for me. Plus, if Tommaso is 5'9" to 5'10", then Evans is a few inches shorter, apparently, okay? So
I just want to stop it here because I agree. I've had a lot of people suspect and talk to me about bandmates. I don't get that energy whatsoever. So just saying, I agree with them. Also, a channel called Monk's Intrigue. Keep listening. It's a 15-minute video and it's amazing.
I never really looked his way. How about Walter Gonsalves, right? I mean, he sure has pretty eyes as well, right? Just like the perp does. But even he hasn't sparked any interest, and I'm not even sure why. I always found Tommaso as an interesting character because, I mean, he is the last person to admittedly see Nancy alive, and then he proceeds to just withdraw, behind a cloak of mystery. I mean, imagine the countless interview offers that are presented to Tommaso, right? And I'm pretty sure they would provide any type of conditions that he needed or asked for. And still, there is nothing. We know he is not shy, right, of the limelight. So it basically comes down to maybe he just doesn't want to, which is, I will say, perfectly fine. I would do the same thing if I didn't want to do something, okay? It's his choice. And so we never got to really know Tommaso. We never got an interview. We never even got a story from somebody that knew him, maybe just to give us an inkling of what he is like in real life. So we're left to wonder. And oh wells, right? Let's see if we can be fruitful elsewhere. And so last night I decided to watch all of the crotch holster guys' videos from that Nest camera, the images, whatnot. I mean, the footage only equates to roughly 40 seconds. And I watched that thing over and over again because honestly, we cannot let the FBI's magical footage that they just pulled out of the heavens go to waste. So literally, I sat there for approximately 2 hours watching the same 40 seconds of video on loop, pausing it at certain sections, slowing it down, until I noticed something about the crotch holster guy's walk. He appears to have a slight hitch to his step, which I always attributed to cautious night walking. Then I noticed his feet does this funny thing where it juts outwardly once his left leg is extended right here. Now watch his right leg right here. Now, before you kill me for wasting your time, let me show you this photo of the perp standing upright in his natural position, I guess I could say. Now, you can see his feet face outwardly still. So when his legs are straight, his feet point out. I looked this up, and the medical term is called out-toeing. So boring. So we're going to call it what it is. The man has duck feet. I want you guys to notice this as well. The slight bowing of his legs. Now, some people have straight legs. Some people have knock knees. Our perp appears to have, if only slightly, bow legs. Now, I'm going to warn you. You might get the chills when I show you this because you know who else has a very similar posture? Tommaso Cioni. He also has duck feet. But monks, come on. The perp looks a lot thicker. Well, first, I want to say that's what she said. And second, it was between 30 to 40 degrees that night, guys. I can almost guarantee you that the perp was wearing double layers. I've been in that cold of weather, even colder, and I would do that double layer, which I will say I'm speaking from firsthand experience, right? Now, because of this, it would also help puff up, the perp a little bit. A fortunate or by design disguise for his body. Okay. Now, don't ask me how, but sometimes we remember the most obscure, useless information. So for some reason, I recall somebody saying early on, it was either Banfield, maybe it was Megan Kelly, but when the perp turned around on the Nest camera footage, some lady said, "Now look at his mud butt." Now, I admit, my childish humor thought that that was funny. Maybe that's why I remembered it. But I also remember thinking from the very beginning, upon seeing, the crotch holster guy, that he had double layers on. In the beginning, that was not even a question for me. Double layered everything. I used to do it myself, and I too would have mud butt because I had a whole pair of sweats underneath whatever pants I was wearing. And it was fascinating that this relatively random thought, in the past actually feels kind of important.
I want to add too, and that's why I thought maybe walking in late at night because everybody felt like he was wearing two layers you can see, of clothing. And that's why I thought perhaps a walk in for a distance because we know how cold it can get in Arizona here. But let me just, before I continue on, I want to just go back to this picture that he shows us right here. Because this is kind of what I did when they were standing at the memorial. Now, given you got to understand, and trust me, it gets better here for the last few minutes of his video, 10 minutes of his video, it gets better by a lot. Like he literally, anyways, what he compared to their walk. So this is the energetic print that I felt and that I said, wow, like I don't understand how it feels like him. Now, mind you, from the back, he does, and again, he's going to show you more, look like the bum is more filled here. But if he's wearing layers, and look at the knees here are bent more so because he's just getting ready to crouch down. So he's kind of in a half-seated position, hence his butt is sticking out more. But interestingly, keep watching. It's just, I don't know how to explain this otherwise. I don't know how to explain this otherwise. I said at the beginning, my energy is focused here on the masked man. I just, and then I doubted myself, and then I saw this. So I'm not really clear with the tattoo and not being shown by Nancy Grace. I don't know how reliable that is. I would think it was reliable. I mean, she showed us the video, but I don't know what lengths they might have gone to conceal themselves. I'm not clear yet, but it just is a bizarre thing to me because I was really certain on the energy that I was feeling. And then I saw that video and I was like, wow, but he is not as tall as he looks. And he does fit the 5'9", 5'10" description when you compared him to Savannah. Go watch that video that I did. Because we know Savannah's height, 5'9" something, 5'9 3/4. And they're virtually the same. When she has heels on, she's a bit taller than him, standing in the memorial site. So I don't know. Let's keep watching. It's a very, very interesting video here. I can't shake how this can't be the person in question that we're talking about here. I just don't understand it, how it's not. But he's been ruled out. The police have ruled him out. There's no tattoo. It's just very curious.
Thicker. Well, first, I want to say that's what she said. And second, it was between 30 to 40 degrees that night, guys. I can almost guarantee you that the perp was wearing double layers. I've been in that cold of weather, even right now. Just look at his pants. I bet there's a pair of sweats underneath those nondescript loose pants. I know. It's not solid evidence of any sort, and you're still not buying it. Well, luckily for both of us, I ain't selling it. Because if I had to convince you of anything, then the evidence was just not good enough, okay? However, while you're at the monk's shop of working theories, I'd like to show you something before you leave. So in those 2 hours plus of me burning my eyes over the crotch holster guy, my curiosity started to, veer towards other possible videos that I could go over. And so I went over, the Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, and Tommaso's walk to Nancy's memorial, which was in front of her house, gifted by the community and YouTubers alike. I also noticed something about Tommaso's way of walking as well. he too has a slight hitch in his left leg just before the leg motions forward. As his leg goes forward, his foot comes up and juts outwardly each and every step. I mean, that's just a part of the way he walks, right? As part of his gait, as all the retired FBI agents tell us, he too has a duck walk. What do you think would happen if I were to put Tommaso and the perp's walk side by side for you? Okay, so have your wallet ready because you might like this readjusted working theory. Now, of course, walking like a duck doesn't mean the man's guilty by any stretch, right? This has to be something that the FBI has already looked into, right? But you know what I'm learning about this case? I'm learning a lot about the FBI, that the FBI is just cool. They are the cool kids, just like Tommaso, you know, they got on those shades. And the FBI, they just simply share nothing with the public. However, unlike Nanos, the FBI will never, ever clear anyone until they are done with their investigation, once the case closes. So how can these two men appear to have a very similar walk and even share the same stance with a very similar bow-leggedness? I mean, is God running out of ideas on how to create Italian men? I mean, not to say the perp is Italian. If you remember in a recent video, I mentioned that while I was doing face overlays, I realized that it just never really felt right or correct. Because as I was doing it, I realized that I basically have to search for a picture that was taken of that person from about, midsection level, the right angle from where that Nest camera was placed. And you would have to take that picture with a wide angle lens. And that is just not happening, right? The closer that you get to this lens, the more distortion that you have. Everything just gets a little bit rounder. Even if the eyes fit, even if the mouths fit, it never felt right. So after a while, I just stopped looking at overlays, okay? But a gait, however, is very compelling. I mean, have we not heard former FBI agent after former FBI agents talk about the perp's gait since the Nest camera footage dropped? So I'm pretty sure that it's important if they think it's important. So how does this affect our working Tommaso theory? Okay, so I will say that his absence from any part of the media might hold a clue. So let's start by saying that Savannah loves her sister and Tommaso is her sister's husband. So I 100% support Savannah for backing her brother-in-law, and I expect her to keep doing so. So that being said, in my opinion, the Brian Enton video where Savannah, Annie, and Tommaso are visiting their mom's house, right? In this updated working theory, we are going to include this event. And because we feel that Tommaso has been avoiding the media, this has to be an event that Tommaso did not want to be a part of. However, I feel Tommaso was caught, in that situation when it happens to do with family, right? You kind of got to go. Because
Okay, I want to add here my feelings here. I know I said when they first walked down, I felt for Savannah. I'm not so sure, and I felt this at the beginning when this was what I was getting hit on. I'm not so sure that wasn't planned and deliberate to be able to compare the gates. I don't really know, but I'm not so sure she's quite as naive as everybody thinks about this. I'm not too sure about that. I think she might be maybe either in denial or is knowing and helping. I don't know, but I can't believe she would be completely oblivious. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, now let's move on to the John DePietro's video. Okay, so thank you for Chris, my dear, you know who you are, for telling me that John DePietro was on yesterday. I had just talked about yesterday morning the vacant houses. I showed a map here of the interview that Nancy Grace did with the neighbor, right? And when they had heard their dogs and everything, and we went through that and their proximity to where Nancy lives, and then John DePietro walks that yesterday. So here he is in front of Nancy's home, and I'm going to pull up the map here that he shows you in a second, and I'm going to show you Rather than show you the whole video, you can go watch it. There's a 2-hour clip on YouTube from John DePietro where he's in front of the house. The police are there. I don't know. They're having a confrontation with some media people. I don't really know. So he just walks down around the corner to where this neighbor heard the dogs, and the neighbor, and they said that their internet lost connection those 2 nights, which is so interesting for me, hence why I think possibly a jammer. Now, I've heard a lot of controversy about the jammer and that it wouldn't have had any pictures, but I find, maybe they didn't have a powerful enough one, but I find it interesting, that the police noted that on the nights that the dogs woke up, the 2 nights that they're questioning about, the 11th and the 31st, that the dogs woke up, that their internet showed a disconnect. The police told them that, not that they gathered that. The police told them that. So to me, it leaves a stronger feeling of a jammer for me. But anyways, they had talked about this pathway behind their home, and I want to show you why it's important relative to the vacant house that we were talking about yesterday. So let me move you to that part of the video here. Small so you can see more. So he's walking from Nancy's house away from Oracle Drive, the other way towards the mountains, there are mountains all around. So I'll show you on a map. He walks around the corner and down the road to where this vacant house is. So let me pull up the map and I'll show you what he shows us when he's there, which is interesting. I hope you can see it because this is John's screen as he's walking, is really blurry. But this is Nancy's home right in the center here, because you can see right across the street, she has that cul-de-sac. So I don't know if you can see right here at the very top is in the center. You can see the pool here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. So he's walking down. There's a house in the corner, but I think the laneway is on this street. So you can see in the very top right corner, he's walking down this street. And if we keep going down that street is where the vacant house was, and they live right there beside a walkway. Let me show you that. So down around the corner, I'll show you the neighbor's home and the vacant home here in a second. But there is this access service road down around the corner. The vacant home is across the street. Like I said, I'll pull it up in a second. And Nancy's home is, the opposite way of this wall. So if you're looking at the screen, it's to the right of the wall. But here's this access road. And John shows us that they could walk right in to Nancy's backyard. Okay, so there he is there. That's where he's standing. So this is a better picture. So Nancy's home is the house right on the street in the top left corner that's diagonal. And you can see right across the street from her, there's this T into that cul-de-sac where the construction was going on. And I said yesterday, I didn't get any hits on that house. But around the corner here, so I just showed you, it goes around the corner. And the neighbor that did the interview on Nancy Grace said he was the 4th house in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that a kitty corner from him was the vacant home. So the vacant home is right here. Right here across diagonally. And I'll show you the vacant home. And then right beside the vacant home yesterday, they were digging, and that was the house that was for sale. Now, I do believe the house that's for sale, maybe they were doing an inspection or whatnot, I'm not sure. But what I wanted to show you more importantly was how the neighbor had said there's this access road. And so you can see the blue dot. And if you follow that down, not up to the right corner, but down, you can see like a dirt walkway, if you will, and how that could be accessed from this road, because he said this is where people park their cars, I believe, as well sometimes, and they noticed a car parked here. So Picture right diagonally across the vacant home. Could they see from there? I wish I could put a marker here, right here where my cursor is, where this vacant home is. Diagonally could see Nancy's home, potentially. And could they have gone in the back way where their jammers were shut off, right? They said, or their jammers, rather, their internet, and their dogs woke up right by their house where that wall is that I just showed you, and access that dirt road all the way back in and walked in towards Nancy's. And I said at the very beginning, love Ashley, but before she even reported that the back door was left open, I said, I sensed that they came in through this back way. That even though the video is in the front, that when they walked in from the back and then walked around the house. That's just my gut feeling. Okay, so now I think what we will do is just show you the last update, if you will, on and I feel so bad for Jennifer Coffindoffer on this, on the town hall meeting. Um, Wild, absolutely wild on Nanos here. Let's watch. Okay, so yesterday I showed you the town meeting. The counselors, people spoke. Aaron Cross, I think it's Ross or Cross spoke, sorry. And this is the update from Brian Enton. And I want to show you another video. Poor Jennifer Coffindoffer. This is wild. The sheriff is absolutely wild. But listen to this.
Guys, so an interesting development with the Nancy Guthrie investigation when it comes to the sheriff, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. So there was just this county supervisors meeting. So that's the government body over Pima County, where they voted unanimously to approve a plan to require the sheriff to report under oath about several issues. Now, remember, these issues have come out about whether or not he lied about his resume and disciplinary issues he had at his previous job decades ago in El Paso. And there are accusations he lied under oath. So now they're going to try to call him into the supervisors meeting and ask him questions about this, it sounds. And there's also a recall effort that's underway to have a recall where there could be a special election. Bottom line, though, there's a lot of people, it seems, in the county that want to throw out the sheriff. And there have been issues, I guess, for a while, but the Nancy Guthrie investigation seems to have sort of been the icing on the cake for a lot of the locals. The sheriff has maintained that, he's done nothing wrong, that he wouldn't change anything about the way he handled the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But it's just kind of interesting to watch some of these local politics play out. And I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it because, and what's also interesting is, the sheriff's a Democrat, and some of the people who really want him thrown out are also Democrats. So anyway, just wanted to give you the update because they just voted on that at the supervisors meeting. I've been watching it online. Hey guys.
So this part's going to shock you. What a moron. I literally, while I was looking for this video, Jennifer Coffindoffer's doing her live, and I literally just sent a message like, what a moron. My heart goes out to Jennifer. I could just cry for her. Listen to this reporting, okay? Jennifer Coffindoffer is behind this idea of the billboards, of trying to get the photo of Nancy that the FBI put up on certain locations of the billboards of Nancy's face. Jennifer made this amazing recommendation and was an FBI agent for years, and so still has contacts in the FBI. And her idea was phenomenal, fantastic. You're going to hear in a second here that they should put the perp on the billboards. And she went through this whole plan to get it approved, not to create any cost to the family. And this local news station, the only one being given reporting for the sheriff, listen to their reporting. I mean, it's actually appalling. It's really appalling. And if you remember how I felt about Nick Barris when he was covering Sebastian Rogers, local media are not unbiased. They only get the stories the sheriff feeds them. And they're the only ones he's giving interviews to. Make that make sense. And that's an affiliate of Savannah's, apparently NBC, I think, a smaller location or affiliate. I think. I'm not positive on that, so don't come at me if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, the fact that they ran this story, like I said, I was very critical on why Savannah's, keeping the narrative small. Like, They did a Bring Nancy Home special the other day, which had 45,000 views I talked about, which isn't anything small. But, had they given that story to Brian Anton or Ashley Banfield in News Nation or Nancy Grace or something, they would have had 500,000 views. I don't understand it. It's very deliberate, I think. But listen to this, because this is just shit reporting, in my opinion, and goes to the show that they are biasly reporting what Nanos is feeding them. And I wanted to cry for Jennifer, and I'm not done with this part of the story yet, so keep watching.
52 of the Nancy Guthrie investigation, a warning from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Don't give to any GoFundMe accounts claiming to be associated with the case. News for Tucson's Andrew Capasso is live in our newsroom with more on this warning. Andrew.
Afternoon to you. The statement out just hours ago really stressing the importance of not giving your money to any GoFundMe claiming to be associated with this investigation. The statement out following a call we made to the sheriff about a post on the X platform. I want you to take a look here. This is that viral post from Jennifer Coffendaffer, her page stating she's a retired FBI agent. In it, she says the Guthrie family has given, quote, their blessing to an effort to start a new Billboard campaign. Her post going on to say a GoFundMe link will be given out if Clear Channel, which is the Billboard company, requires any money for this new campaign. We know tonight the Guthrie family does not support someone raising money on their behalf. The FBI and Clear Channel, they've had an ongoing partnership putting up those digital billboards showing Nancy Guthrie's picture and the number to call as part of that partnership. The FBI tells us they would not ask for money for billboards. The Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos telling me this afternoon giving to any GoFundMe account linked with this case is certainly the wrong move. Listen.
The family has no knowledge of, clearly the law enforcement, the FBI, the Sheriff's Department has no knowledge of.
This is a statement from PCSD tonight. Quote, please be advised there is no official GoFundMe or any fundraising effort associated with the Guthrie investigation. They say billboard displays are funded through official channels. Any claims suggesting otherwise are fraudulent and will be investigated accordingly. Of course, they suggest anyone with information, of course, call 1-800-CALL-FBI. So ahead at 6 o'clock, more.
Yes, you heard that. The moron sheriff, Nanos, threatening to charge an retired FBI agent of 28 years. Listen to Jennifer's response as she learns about it while she's on Surviving the Survivor podcast last night. Like, what the F are you effing people up to? Like, she's a retired FBI agent. She's got connections. And you call her fraudulent on the freaking news. What the fuck is with this guy? I mean, I said he was nuts, but he is dangerous. Dangerous. I hope he's gone faster than a lightning bolt. Truly, I hope. Like, get him out of there. Watch this from Jennifer. Wild. Watch this, Jen finding out on Surviving the Survivor. Listen to this.
You like Coffendaffer, Ken, and probably Phil Ramos too, in a fraction of a second. So be careful what you say. So, Jen, I reached out this morning because I saw a tweet you put out about these billboards that you had this great idea. So without me butchering it, tell people what your idea was and sort of the path that you were taking here.
Well, it was something that I've been talking about forever. And it just, initially when the billboards went up, it was earlier in the investigation, and it made a lot of sense because it was before the 10th day when the FBI and law enforcement had the picture of who I call Porch Guy, the possible perpetrator. Well, he's the perpetrator, but are there others? We don't know. Nevertheless, you have this great picture of this guy, even though he's masked. There's a lot of particular details you can make out about him. Certainly his body, his face, his eyebrows, the mustache, and so on. And I thought, why in the world are we not having this on a billboard? Why isn't it in Spanish? Because very likely this man could be of Spanish heritage. And then third, why aren't we listing the $1.2 million that is all there for the taking for anybody who might recognize this guy? And other than true crimers, people who watch news, mainstream media, you are not going to necessarily even have any idea that Porch Guy exists. But if you put billboards in and around that Tucson area and then change the picture out of the posters that we put up so long ago, more at the beginning of the investigation, the time is now to get his face out there and hopefully somebody might recognize him. So that was the whole idea that I've kind of been working on now probably for 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I applaud you because I think it's a fantastic idea. And spoiler alert, Chris Nanos does not think it's a fantastic idea. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But Bill Ramos, if you're working what you believe to be a homicide, and you said openly you don't think Nancy Guthrie sadly is with us anymore. Let's hope that she is, and it's a miracle. But wouldn't you want to get, Jennifer calls him porch man, I call him nest camera guy, pick your adjectives. But do you think it's a good idea to get this image out there on a billboard? Nancy Guthrie's been up there, but this is the guy accused of the crime. What do you think of the idea before we get to, I guess, the little bit of controversy about it?
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Great idea, Jennifer. And it's just spot on. You need to reach so many people because there's that one person that knows something that they don't realize that they know, and it might click with them. And they might say, hey, you know what? I think I will call the cops about whatever it was that I saw, and I didn't think it was a big deal. Kudos to you. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Before I get to Bob, just back to Jen. So Jen, I know that you went from higher up. You're retired FBI, and you went to some people, that ran offices out west. Just can you fill us in a little bit about just the steps? This wasn't like a rogue move. I'm Jennifer Coffendorfer. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. You went after permission and essentially got permission, correct?
That's exactly right. If I were the case agent on this case, the last thing I would want, as you said, rogue, I wouldn't want some rogue FBI retired agent doing this without permission of the FBI. So, of course, the first step I took was to contact somebody who had a very close relationship with individuals in the FBI that could give that permission. So that's what I did. And last night, I got the word back. It was a beautiful text. I was so excited this morning. And it said, yes, go ahead. You can use the tip line number. The family had actually mentioned something about this previously. You have the thumbs up and the go ahead. And I got on my show this morning and I was so excited. In fact, that the name of the podcast, it says great news about Nancy, because to me, getting this face and this imagery out there, nobody saw Nancy after she was abducted likely, but people might know this guy. And so anyway, that was my reasoning behind it. And I was really excited. So I got the check mark from the Bureau, but I just found out right before going on the show from you, I didn't get a check mark from Nanos. And it's so interesting. So the Bureau has up several billboards. I talked to the billboard company, the vice president. She was amazing. She said, oh my gosh, I love this idea. We absolutely support it. I can actually change out all the billboards that are already put up and being financed or in their relationship with the FBI. I can change those out from the old ones. Do you have that old billboard by chance?
COE will get it up. I don't, but she's as fast on the graphics as Bob Krieger is on the holster. Bob Krieger, to you. So Jen didn't even know this, and we break news here on STS. So let me bring this up and read it to our audience and get your reaction, which is this. This just went out within the last 40 minutes or so from Chris Nanos and the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Please be advised there is no official GoFundMe or any fundraising effort associated with the Guthrie investigation. Billboard displays are funded through official channels. Any claims suggesting otherwise are fraudulent and will be investigated accordingly. The public is urged to remain vigilant and not send money to anyone claiming to raise funds related to this case. Anyone with information that may assist investigators is asked to call 1-800-CALL-FBI or 888-CRIME. Bob, I'll leave it up. And obviously, Jen, I'll let you respond to this. But, this was still in the, getting to work stages. Jen wanted to start a GoFundMe. This is the old billboard, Jen. But Bob, to you first, your reaction to this swift response from Chris Nanos basically telling the FBI once again to get lost.
I want to take it in a different way because this actually popped up on my timeline. I wasn't aware that this is what you were talking about, Joel. Mm-hmm. I took this message from the Sheriff's Department as more of a notice to the public specific to the GoFundMe stuff, specific to scammers attempting to jump on Nancy's story and fundraise in a manner which, would be absolutely inappropriate. If this has anything to do specific with the billboards that Jennifer is talking about to put up to get the information out there, to get tips, that would be very disappointing because like Phil said, it is vital to the investigation. It's what the investigators need. I'll take it one step further than what Jennifer said. She said she thinks someone might know who this person is. No, someone knows who this dude is. Between his gait, his stance, the clothes, all of those things. And the more people that can see it, the more options they have to see it, to recall something from days or weeks or even months ago, that is going to do nothing but help the investigation. So I hope I'm right in saying that this message put out by the Sheriff's Department is specific to GoFundMe and to scammers. And if they / Sheriff Nanos was to put a nix on the billboard idea, that would be incredibly disappointing because if the FBI is already on board, he continues to say they're working in lockstep, hand in hand, which we knew at the beginning wasn't exactly true. He has a history of not working well with others. But that all being said, this should be happening. This should absolutely be happening. The pictures should be up. They should be more out there in everybody's face. We need something. The investigators need something to continue moving on with. Not that they don't have other tips to follow up on, but that's how I took this message, because I did see it before we popped on. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I mean that's very well taken here. And you very well might be right. Now I was I was talking to Jen and noticed this pop up. So I just the way my brain connected, because he literally uses the billboard in the second paragraph. So and Gia and TJ's mom weighing in here, to me, he's targeting the billboards in this message. Why wouldn't he want the help? Jen, do you read it? Bob read it more like, just scammers and GoFundMe people, but he's specifically talking about a billboard in the second paragraph. So how are you taking this, Jen?
No, when you sent this to me, my jaw dropped because I just really thought this was such a good idea. I will say, and I sent out a tweet tonight before I went on and before I saw this, just to give an update to everybody, because people have been blowing up my DMs asking about where we're at. Essentially, the Bureau said they do not want to change the billboards that exist and the money that would be needed to put up one. So my idea, because this seems so centered on Tucson, is to have one on the east corridor, the west corridor, and two going south toward Mexico, but fairly close proximity to Tucson. That was the whole idea of this. And that if for some reason assets were tied up with the Bureau and those agreements, that's fine. But this is something that personally for me and for advocacy and for just doing the damn right thing, this made so much sense to me. So Joel, that's why this morning I was so excited. And I told everybody, if there's no GoFundMe set up yet, but I said, if we end up doing this, let me get the numbers from the Billboard company. So I called them and they said they'll put something together. It's 2 to 3 weeks to even be able to put something up, because you can't use electronic billboards in this area, which I never knew.
Wow.
So
Whoops. Hey, everybody. That's a wrap for today. A long video, but I think I got in most of what I want to talk about rather than doing in 2 videos. Excuse me. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Love and light. And yes, I will be doing the general. More on the general. Talk to you soon.